Hello, I'm Nancy Smith Mattox on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, and I have a radio show called Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you. Wanted to let you know that WYTV7 and Shine Your Light is a talk forum. We have real people, real life, real speakers that are talking about real events of the local time. We are a top rated radio station and a top rated radio show. So I'm really excited about that. What we are not is a reality show or an entertainment show. We have a mission of hope that we share with everyone around the world. So if you're interested in being interviewed on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry on WYTV7, please contact me. And thank you so much for joining in and enjoy the broadcast. Hello, I'm Nancy Smith Mattox on WYTV7 in Charlotte, broadcasting on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'm so excited today. My guest is from Birmingham, Alabama. His name is Buford Taylor Jr., and I'm real excited to have him today. He's going to share a lot with us. But first, I'd like to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. It is Valentine's Day, and we do need to remember that all we need is love. Love is what makes the world go around. So everybody loves someone, anyone, and everyone. And I want to talk a little bit about WYTV7. We are a nonprofit, and we do take donations. And our donations go to promote our shows, our broadcasts of all of the broadcasters all over the world. We have several million viewers that view our broadcast, and we do advertise them. We promote them, and $5 donations go a long way. So thank you for that. And without further ado, let's get started. Mr. Taylor, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Miss Nancy. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Taylor. He is a formerly incarcerated person, free now, thank goodness. And he is a published author. He's written a book, and I'm so excited for him to share his story with you. It's going to be very motivational. It's going to help a lot of people, and that is what we're here for at WYTV7. We say if we help one, then we've done our job. So I'm real excited to hear your story, Mr. Taylor. Tell us a little bit about your young life, what happened and how you became incarcerated, and let's go a little bit through that first before we get started.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I really hate to say, but I was just living the wrong way, and I was trying to get some money the wrong way because through my peers and from being out among guys that were in the street, you know, you kind of learn things that you were not taught at home. I didn't come from the background to do the things that I did, but after you learn things, even if it's wrong, you kind of go with them sometime and make the wrong choice. I made a bad choice, and I tried to go get some money the wrong way on a robbery case. And I never in my life thought I would sink so low. But because of drugs and alcohol, it caused me to do what I did. And thank God that I didn't lose my life, and I did end up going to prison. Nothing I'm proud about, but I didn't have to go there. God could have let me die in my sin. So I'm very thankful that I did go that way, even though it's not credible. But I'm just thankful that he spared my life, and I learned what I learned while I was incarcerated.
Well, you know, you do have a purpose, and I know it was a long time. How long were you incarcerated?
23 years.
Wow, that is a really long time for such a young man. But you know, we do have purpose. God puts us through certain things, and when we're young, it's very difficult to not go along with the crowd. Very difficult, especially you know if you weren't raised that way, which neither one of us were. We were raised in the church and all, but we do stray, and peer pressure is really horrible. And that's why this show is so important to the world, because I have real people with real talk, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to keep young people and older people off of the path that we've gone through, so we can actually save them before it ever happens and maybe prevent this. And I know that's what your purpose is too. I know you may not realize yet truly what your true purpose is, but there was a reason why you suffered like you did. And now that now that God has spared you and brought you forward, you can go out into the world and be a light and a beacon to others to try to prevent some of this. So you were incarcerated 23 years.
Yes,
You also wrote, did you write a book while you were incarcerated?
well, ma'am, actually, I wrote several,
Okay.
but this was my pride and joy.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The name of his book is Now I See, and it's getting ready to be published. So I want you to talk a little bit about that. What inspired you to do the book, and what it's about. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the book is fiction and nonfiction, and what inspired me to write it is, when God sets you aside, and I was set aside. When God sets you aside and you see things in the right way, and you look back on the past when you were doing things the wrong way, you can't help but see the truth about yourself. I mean, the first thing about writing is you have to, if you're going to write anything and it's going to be right, it needs to be from your heart. And it's the best thing to write is about something that you know or something you've been through. Because on that level, you can always exactly tell the truth. You can feel what you write. If I don't feel it, I don't write it. And after I've been through, I did a few years, and I went to this particular camp. And I've always had a good heart. I thank God for that. My mom used to tell me all the time, "You soft-hearted just like your grandmama." I used to watch Little House on the Prairie cry. So I always knew I had good inside of me. But the thing about it, I went to this particular camp. We call them camp, one of the facilities that I went through while I was doing my time. And God had already started molding me and changing me and showing me that, you're not supposed to be here. So I was going to church. I was having Bible studies with some of the other guys. And I would get up every morning. I would read my scripture, my daily bread, and I would start my day that way at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I could see how God was molding me into something else beside a number and what society labeled me as. So we went to this particular camp one time, and this guy, he called himself the sun god. And he actually was like devil worshiping. Yes, ma'am. And he kept saying every day, he slept one bed down from me. He kept saying every day that when I get out, I'm going to kill all the white babies. And I'm not, and let me say this for the record. I don't have a prejudice bone in my body. I'm prejudiced against ignorance. I believe all of us, I don't see color. I see good and bad. But this guy said he would get out, he's going to kill all the white babies. And I heard him say this for over a week's time, and he kept saying it. And actually, he motivated me more to write the book than anything else, because he kept saying it. And I asked him one morning about 3 o'clock. I said, "Man, let me tell you something." I said, "I don't care what you think about other people." I said, "But a baby is not responsible for what they do." I said, "They are taught by other people, and that's the way that they live, and that's the way they come up." So he kept saying it, and he kept saying it. And actually, we got into a confrontation, because I don't care how bad you are or what you've been through in life. I can't stand to see anybody disrespect or mistreat a child. And that's not right. So after
Absolutely. Oh, that's so true. And this is so appropriate time-wise, because that's what's happening in America right now.
Yes, ma'am.
People have just gone absolutely nuts. We did a show last week about abortion, and I had an abortion enthusiast on here who was talking about it. But it's just so timely right now, especially that you go back to him wanting to kill all of the white babies. Really, a baby. I'm not prejudiced either. I don't have a prejudice bone in my body, and I love everyone. I don't see the color of their skin, and I think that makes it odd when I run into people like you, because they're all like, "This white lady," and I don't see it that way. But anyway, so did you have to go to this class, or did you have to go to this camp?
Yes, ma'am. When you're incarcerated, you don't really have a choice on where they send you. You just go. When they pack you up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can't make a phone call because of security reasons when you going from one place to another. So when I got there, that was, I had no choice in where I slept. They give you a bed, they give you a a bedroll, and they give you personal hygiene. They tell you to go right here, go right there, shower when they tell you, eat when we tell you. I mean, it's a whole nother life, and you'll really be in control. So whoever you sleep around or whoever they put you next to, that's pretty much how it's going to be. I learned a lot in prison. One thing I learned more than anything was acceptance. You have to accept a lot of things in life that you don't want to. But the thing about it is, it's a growing process. And not just, I say sometime, I went to Alabama A&M and I went to UAB college. I graduated from high school, but prison was one of the best colleges I went to. I learned how to respect myself, how to respect other people, and I learned how to accept things that I could not change. And that's one of the things that molded me to where I am now. And I spent most of my time writing. And I mean, I love to write, and I read several books. And
Taylor, that is so encouraging. I mean, you don't hear that point of view a lot of times. A lot of times, people that have been formerly incarcerated hold a lot of bitterness and all. But if you don't have the attitude like you have, then you really can never move forward, and you can never regain your life, and you really don't regain your freedom even after you get out if you don't have a better attitude like that. So that's a beautiful attitude that you have, and a beautiful spirit that you have. You're going to help a lot of people talking about that, because that's what it's all about.
Yes,
so I'm going to try to hold up the cover to the book. So let me see if I can get a picture of it, because I want to talk a little bit about this cover.
Yes, ma'am.
Can everybody see it? It says "Now I See" is the name of the book. It's really a very catchy cover. What brought that cover about, Mr. Taylor?
Well, actually, I have that tattoo on my arm. And I thought about it, and when I wrote the book, it's sort of a bio, but it's fiction and nonfiction. And what brought that about was, I don't know if you can see the color, but you can see the tear that came out of my eye. It was actually blood, and that represents the pain I went through while I was going through what I did. And after I went through what I did, prison, giving my life over to God, understanding that life means something. If it's not mine, I shouldn't take it, and I shouldn't put myself in certain situations to take away from me, to disrespect my God first, disrespect myself, I disrespect my family who raised me. So now I see everything I should have saw at first. And through the tears, the pain in my eyes, the blood stain that came out, I cried away my pain.
Wow. I'm going to try to hold it up one more time. Maybe I can get that eye a little closer so people can see. See right there where the eye is and the tears coming out? That's what he's talking about. It's the blood tear that's coming out of his eye. So you have a tattoo like that. So
yes, ma'am.
When did you get the tattoo? After you were released?
No, ma'am, I got a tattoo actually while I was incarcerated.
Really? So that can happen?
Yes, ma'am, it can. It's not illegal, but we wasn't supposed to do it, but we get, sometime that happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's very intriguing, and very intriguing what the cover is about. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because it's eye catching, and I think a lot of people are going to want to read this book. They're going to be intrigued by it. But tell us a little bit more about what's in the book. What's up with it?
Well, actually, ma'am, without giving too much away, I could give you a good briefing on it. It's basically, before I was incarcerated, I lived in another state. And actually, my son is there. My son, David Taylor, he was there. So the thing about it, when I lived in this other state, that's when, I started kind of straying a little bit. And I did a lot of things in that other state that, I wasn't proud of after the fact. But actually, to kind of give it to you, it's like things that I went through, things I actually went through. And it was like word for word. The first part of the book is like a biography of me. I mean, you can pretty much read it, and it actually happened. It's nothing about that that's not true. But as it goes on, it really is telling how God changed me from what I did at that time and changed me to the person that I am and what happened in the book later. I was like a hero in the end.
Wow. Well, I like that. I didn't quite understand how it could be fiction and nonfiction, but that does make sense because now the first part of the book is your biography, which would be the nonfiction part, which would be the true part. And I think that's what people really need to read. People need to read what brought you there, what took you there. And also, interesting little fact, the songwriter of Amazing Grace wrote, I once was blind and now I see. So see, it's all throughout the Bible about how people come to know and see and know what they're supposed to do. So that's really kind of neat. Amazing Grace is one of my favorite songs anyway. But so in that case, what was the last half of the book about? Is that the fiction part?
This is it. Now we can say it's fiction, but actually it's not. If you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus Christ and spiritual warfare,
okay,
we fight against principalities.
Okay.
So the last part of the book is fiction as far as what I wrote.
Okay.
Because it actually could have happened, but it didn't. But it's all about spiritual warfare in the end of the book. So actually, it's, to me, looking at it from the point of view as a Christian and as a child of God and as a man of God, and for other people, when they see it too, it's not going to be fiction. It's going to be real, but the events didn't actually happen, but they happen every day. You know, you have, let me put it like this. You have angelic spirits and you have demonic spirits. Am I right or wrong in this?
Right.
And these angelic spirits, and the more you pray, the angelic spirits can have more power. But the less you pray, you give more to the demon, the demonic spirits. And that's the same way we do in life. If we don't spend enough time with God, reading our Bible, trying to treat other people as we want, going to church, and just trying to be the best person you can, and you're going through changes, a lot of times we go medicate. That's what drug addicts and alcoholics do. We go medicate. And when we medicate, we lean more to the demonic spirit side. But if we stand strong and believe in God and trust in Him, go to programs, go to meetings, go. If you need a treatment center or whatever, you go do what you need to do, first of all, to make sure you don't have to go medicate behind a problem. Because we all go through trials and tribulations every day.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. But it's the way you deal with it. It's the way you handle it. It's the way you let God come into your life and shine a light on you so you can see exactly what you need to do besides going the other way. Because demonic spirits are just as real as the angelic spirit. I mean, yes, there would be no, yes, man, there would be no, what good would we have, would it be for us to have God if we didn't have the devil?
Wow. Oh, goodness. Well, we're going to get back into this a little bit deeper. I have a few thoughts on what you just said about that. I want to tell a little bit about my childhood and how I learned. But we're going to take a quick commercial break real quick. So we'll be back in just a few mementos, okay? Thank you.
Thank you for listening to WYTV7. Can you make us your #1 listen to network? Visit us on the web at WYTV7.org. Contact us. We are currently accepting guests to share their story of hope with our audience around the world.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that commercial break for WYTV7. We are a nonprofit. We do take donations, and we use our donations to promote our shows. All of the broadcaster shows all over the world. A couple of million people view these shows, and it's very, very exciting. And a $5 donation goes a long way. But let's get back to Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, I want to get back to what you were talking about before the break. You were talking about about spiritual warfare. Well, when I was a little girl, I was taught it wasn't so much about spiritual warfare, but it was that you always had to make a commitment and you had to buy into whatever you were going to do in life. And it didn't matter. I mean, in the young years, it may have been basketball or baseball or cheerleading. And I know we were never allowed to quit anything because we bought in and we had to commit to it. And then also spiritually, we had to buy into it too. You know, when we were teenagers, we didn't always want to go to church, but our parents made us go. we really didn't have a choice in that matter. And also spread on up into when you're an adult and you take a job and you make a commitment or whatever you're doing in life, you have to buy in and you have to be there. You have to go to the meetings, you have to learn and all of that. So I think that's going to be really a great concept that you're going to talk about in your book that's going to help a lot of people, because people don't really get taught that anymore. I mean, I don't think the new generation of parents teach their children about commitment. For instance, if they're playing baseball and they get tired of practice, or football and they get tired of practice and they want to quit, sometimes the younger parents let them quit. And see, that would never happen at my house. When I was growing up, you didn't get to quit. I mean, you went in there, you did your licks, and you did it because you committed to it. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about this spiritual warfare, because I'm sure when you were incarcerated, you experienced that a lot, as you were just talking about the class that you went to. So can you share a little bit more enlightening about that?
Yes, ma'am. I read a book by the author called Frank Peretti, if anybody wants to look that author up. And he wrote this book about this piercing darkness and this present darkness. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I got a lot of ideas from different authors. I read from a lot of different authors. Before I went in, I wouldn't read a book unless it had pictures in it, like magazines. I would never read a novel. And the first one I read was by this author called Sidney Sheldon. It was Master of the Game. And I was reading the book, but some writers write so vivid that you could actually see the pictures inside your mind when you read. And after I read that one book, I just kept reading. And I would get different aspects of how to write and what I would write about and the things that I felt through some of the other writers. So that's was one thing that intrigued me a lot to do it. Now, in the book, it's not my actual name. It's Butler. Butler is the man. He's the character in the book. But the thing about it on the spiritual warfare thing, when you're in there, you see a lot of stuff that naturally doesn't go on out here. And I hate to say this, is a lot of drug use, guys get knives and try to kill each other. And I've seen that also too. I experienced a lot in there. I saw guys, they dealt with homosexual activity. And, I just couldn't fathom how another man could be interested in another man, but it goes on. And the thing about it is you have to respect it because that's part of the life that you are in. And a lot of times if you get off into somebody else's business, 9 times out of 10, you're going to reap the worst benefits of it. I've seen
you're going to get hurt.
All killed.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh.
Yeah, man. And you also had officers that were corrupt also. They would do things. They would bring drugs in, and a lot of times, and they would come in there and just totally disrespect other people, beat them with blackjacks, and because they were mad about something that went on in their home. When you're in prison, you're the lowest person on the totem pole. We're shot away from society and all this, so you can see demonic spirits all around all the time. But that is an escape from that. We have the chapel that we can go to. You can go sit on your rack and you can grab your Bible and read. And there are also constructive people in there also. Some people are not with just the regular everyday prison life. And we keep our mind focused on what's outside. We keep our mind focused on what we were taught. We go back and look.
That's a survival mode.
That's a survival mode. That's right. So the basic thing that we did, we formed a group of people that I was in with, and we called ourselves non-pretenders. We didn't pretend to be prisoners. We were not prisoners. We were not made to be prisoners, and all we had was a number. So we had life classes sometimes. We sat down and talked about our problems from the past. We talked about some of the things that led some of the guys to use drugs or alcohol, or had them to go out and do things that they normally didn't do. And we built a self-help group. And I carried this self-help group through some of the prisons that I went to. I went to several. Out of 23 years, you do a lot of traveling to a lot of places in Alabama prison. I think I went to most of them except for about 2, and there are a lot of prisons in Alabama. But,
so that was a self-hope journal that you kept? Is that what you said?
Self-help.
Self-help. Okay. I thought at first you said hope, because that's what WYTV7 is all about. We just want to share hope, and my goodness, you have shared a lot with us today. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is God's grace and hope,
Mhm.
and I just love that. I love the way this is going. How did the book help you out spiritually, Mr. Taylor?
Well, the thing about it was I've always, like you said, I came up going to church, and sometimes I didn't want to go, but in my household, you going to church or you don't go outside to play in the evening. So, and I didn't want to be stuck in the house. And then as I went on, and certain songs that were sung in church, I liked them, and sometimes certain messages that the pastor brought, I enjoyed that also. And I was just formed to believe in God. I never through my childhood that I didn't believe in God. But I was a child and I was growing up, so we don't always focus on those type of things. But the thing about it, when I was in there and went through all I did, let me tell you something. Sometimes you can fall so low you can't do nothing but look up. And when they first put me in the county jail, and I realized what I had done, and I realized couldn't nobody get me out. I fell on my face. I said, Lord, what do I do now? And I had to sit in the county jail for 10 months before I was even sent to prison.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was just to the point that I had no choice but to call on God.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That's probably what kept you alive and kept you going. I know God's grace does that for us. So
Yes,
you you have some good news to share with us. You you are engaged to be married in October of 2019 to Miss Donna
Square.
Square. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Miss Donna and how you met her, and did this happen after you were out, or were you communicating with her while you were in? That kind of thing.
No, ma'am. And actually, the date is supposed to be August 10th. I apologize for correcting you, but that's all right. Well, you know, when you come back out of society too, we have to get readjusted. Because everything was new. I mean, cell phones and people don't have conversation no more. They sit right next to each other and text. And this was kind of new to me. Even filling the application out, you have to do it on the phone, on the computer. And before I went in, you just write it down on paper. And everything was so new to me. And I was coming out with my brother's church. My brother, Pastor Douglas Taylor, he's the pastor of Rebirth Christian Fellowship here in Center Point, Alabama. I'm in his home right now. So the thing about it was I was going to church there, and for a moment, I almost backtracked. I went to see some guys I hadn't seen in a while and things of that nature. And, being honest with you, I almost slipped back, not to the old thing I was doing, but just to hang out with people that I shouldn't have been. But God saw fit to change me. So one day I was riding down on Highway 78, and the church I'm go to now, where actually I'm a member, is I Care Christian Ministry with Pastor Donald Square. And I was going down the street to another church, but I saw his church, and something told me to go there. The spirit, I knew it was. And when I went inside this church, the love and compassion that man had, and the way I felt when I went in that church, I wanted to go there. But when I first went to church, Donna was an usher. She was the first person I saw when I went to church.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was. So I was kind of struck by her. I won't tell her. I was struck by her. But I'm just coming to the church. I'm not going to church to talk to a lady, but she's a nice looking woman, and I saw her. But I never said anything to her. I went to that church for about 3 or 4 months, and all I did was speak to her the time I went there, because I didn't want to disrespect church, and I didn't know her status as far as whether she was married or whatever. So one day I got tired of just looking at her, and I said that, and I just went up to talk to her and her mother, and we hit it off, and we started talking, and she told me she wasn't involved with nobody, and I asked her, would it be all right when I got my first check, could I take out to eat? She said, sure. And we exchanged telephone numbers, and that was almost 5 months ago, and I don't think it's been a day I ain't been with her since.
Oh, baby, that's beautiful. I love that. See, that's another part of God's grace right there. Because what made you turn into that church on the way to your church? And
I know God.
that was divine intervention right there. So
exactly.
I did see you posted a picture of your new family, Does she
Yes,
have,
ma'am.
she has children too, right?
Yes, ma'am. She has grown children. That was the grandchildren. Though.
Oh, okay, that was the grandchildren.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
about 5 of them, so that's awesome. So does your son have any children?
No, not yet. He's. I'm working on him with that. But I
Yeah, well,
respect. I respect
you're
him.
gonna get a
Yes,
beautiful instant family, which is just absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy for you. But
yes, ma'am.
all of this is part of a big plan for you. This is a
Yes,
part of
ma'am.
your purpose. And I really, I'm going to pray for you. And I hope when the book comes out that things will go really, really well for you. I
Yes, ma'am.
think you're very, very well spoken. I appreciate everything that you've shared with us
Yes,
today.
ma'am.
And, it's Valentine's Day, and it's just going to be really exciting. And I'm happy that you shared that with Miss Donna with us, because I mean that's what it's all about, and just
Yes,
really
ma'am.
shows God's grace to you. And I want you to continue on your purpose. I want you to continue speaking. You speak so well, and I think
Thank
it's
you.
going to go a long way for you. So I'm so happy
Yes,
for you, Mr. Butler, that everything's going well.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Ms. Nancy. I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate the radio station also. And I feel very good today about this. And it's another stepping stone in my life. And I just thank God and you and Bridget Yelder. Tell Bridget I thank her also.
I sure will. I sure will. For
Yes, ma'am.
those of you that don't know, I have interviewed Bridget before, but she owns a company called Divine Excellence Consulting, and she does book publishing and travel and things like that. She published my last book. She's published Mr. Taylor's book. And so she does a really good job. We really want to give a shout out to Bridget Yelder, because she's just one of my very, very best friends and business partners. So,
Yes, ma'am.
but I thank you so much for your time today, and it's been a real pleasure. And I know a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this interview. So we'll watch for the book to come out and purchase it. So
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Ms. Nancy, can I say one more thing? Can I
Sure.
can I say hello to my mother, Miss Geraldine Taylor, and
Yes.
my sister, Minister Darlene Douglas. I've already spoke about my brother and my son, Jessica Taylor, so I don't want to leave my family out.
That's
And
beautiful.
and her husband, Miss Gary Douglas, is my sister's husband, and Miss Shay Taylor is she's a minister also. She's my brother's wife. So, and to them and their family, I just want to say thank y'all so much for assisting me when I came home. They were a big benefit in my life, and I just want to let everybody know how much I love and appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Taylor. That really is what it's all about. So thank you so
Yes, ma'am.
much, and I thank you for your time today, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.